Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, live the life we love. I'll have to continue with my four paths of creation and spirituality starting on Monday. So today it's Friday, it's my Dharma talk day based on my slideshows, presentation literacy, PowerPoints, call it whatever you want. But it's something I used to do in the yoga circle from 1985 to 2019. So random topics, but they all have to do with the Dharma. Somehow getting an inkling, a hint, a clue about the great other, the process that we're all connected to, that's definitely bigger than ourselves, but we're a part of it. Chip off the old block. So here's some random ideas for you to mull over. Carl Jung helped to popularize the phrase archetypes, the primordial instincts that appear in our mind as images, communications from the deep subconscious to the surface. The promise of understanding these images is stupendous, but for most of us, our vehicle, we're ill prepared for this because we're not taught this. So it has a fascination for us, but most of us are completely unaware of the potential, power, beauty, depth that we can contact if we went into these images within ourselves. So in a certain way, I think we're all like a shrunken vestige of what we're really capable of. We think we're conscious, but a lot of times we're really asleep at the wheel, almost like one foot in the grave, sleepwalking through life. Now, one of the things I like about yoga is it develops, if you can see these images clearly, altered states that develop sensory acuity. It sharpens your ability to smell, touch, taste, hear, feel. And then it gives you imagery to change your brain that deals with pictures in your mind. Picture says 1,000 words, they say. And then also it takes you out of time. You experience the timelessness of the quality. You're really into the here and now, where life is always happening. Now, ritual process has really deteriorated quite a bit in our time because if you don't believe there's a center, which is where regeneration and creativity and transformation comes from, then what are you left with? The mere temporal duration. And if there is no center, then that's one of the reasons why ritual process, which is all about connecting to the center, why would you do it if you don't think there's anything to connect to? So that therefore there's very little understanding of it or appreciation of it. And therefore we're all ritually tone deaf. Though the need for this is not diminished, we can't hear it because the economic engine is what drives us all. Productivity, achievement. And of course it's a will o' the wisp because it helps us distract ourselves from what might be much more meaningful and much more important. So what's really important and meaningful to me is conflict resolution. It needs to be done within oneself, between ourselves and other people. It needs to be done intergenerationally. It needs to be done intertribally, right? So there's communal ways of doing this, familial ways of doing this, personal ways of doing this. And without this, species bonding is much more difficult and always seemingly at risk. Now, one of the problems that we have in a lot of the media is what we call the immaculate perception, that they don't believe they have any shadow dynamics. So they don't need to inquire in any way into possible falsification of what they're saying. And so therefore, from that point of view, there's little need for ego dissolution and reconstitution, which is the basis of all the mythological teachings. The ego has to go for something else to take in its place. But if you're not willing to look at it critically, status quo stays the same. And of course, ultimately, yoga is we're all one. The greatest illusion in the world is the one of separation. We think we're separate and different, and actually, we're one and the same as other people. There's more things about us that are similar than are dissimilar. So we're all one people, but we live as if we're divided. That has to change. Now, you got to turn up the tapas in yoga, the pressure cooker, because if it's not hot enough, you're not going to get anything done. So how do you find the fire in your belly? Well, for me, it's through dedicated practice. And then, if you've listened to my teachings over time, I'm always reminding ourselves of one model a four model, a quaternial model of the male and female, king, warrior, lover, and magician, which here they're showing you the polar or the shadow aspects of each of these potentials that break down into bipolar complements. So the king and queen, when it's perfect in the archetype, is great, but in their shadow, the positive aspect of the shadow is the tyrant, and the negative aspect of their shadow is the weakling. In the warrior, it's the same thing. For the men, positive aspect is the sadist, negative aspect is the masochist. For the women, the positive aspect is the smothering of the possessive mother, and the negative aspect is the distant or the absent one. When you get to the magician or the wise man or the crone, for the men, the manipulator is the positive aspect of the magician, and the jester, the fool, that's the negative. For the wise woman, it's the same thing. It's the witch is the positive aspect, but the fool is the negative aspect. For the lover, it's the addicted male or the impotent male, positive and negative. For the female, it's the seductive one or the frigid one, as the positive and negative. Mull on that. And then responsibility. Who's responsible for your life? Most people say they are, but they don't take action as if they are. You have to test this to help you see yourself. Yeah. Like when I ask my college kids, who's responsible for your life? They all raise their hand, but when you break it down, you realize they do a lot of things that show they're not responsible for their life. So this is one of the discrepancies we're all fighting within ourselves, right? Pretending like we're responsible, but our actions show that we're really not. So are you able to respond? Right. Now, I'm a believer that the elders inoculate the young, and of course the young inoculate the elders as well. And one of the ideas I like is the idea of the crossing shawl, right? The prayer shawl, the talus. You robe yourself in it, and when you put it on, it's like you're insulated from the world, or you have an internal magic carpet. You're traveling to another world. So we pass these things on as a blessing to hope that the next generation will undertake it in the same way we have, more beautifully, more intensely, more compassionately. And then it's like your whole life is a weaving on a loom with the twists and turns that you put into the stitches. And at some point, after you pay attention to making something really beautiful, because your life is a set of vignettes, a little set of stories, you take it off the loom and you put it to good use. And so I hope that you all get the lightning flash relampago that awakens you, because there are certain things that you can only see in the dark. So don't fear to go there. I'll talk more about that at another time. Have a great day. Next week, don't forget, Good Vibrations will be back on Wednesday from 11 to 1. Our topic is yoga and universality. So go to GabrielHalpern.com and sign up. Look forward to seeing you there. Peace be with you all.